Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ajwa and I hope this video finds you well. If you are new to this place, please consider subscribing, and to all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your support and welcome back. So in this video, it's just simply my opinion. These are just my opinion on some very popular, hyped up fragrances that I do not like, or it didn't do that, it didn't cut it for me. I don't see myself buying them. I don't, even if I'm gifted these fragrances, I don't think I'm going to be wearing them. That is just my personal choice. I've tried some of them. I've actually tried like all of these fragrances at some point. I owned some of these in my collection. I had to let them go because I didn't find any use for them. For the most part, I guess if I have these fragrances, I'll not have uses for them. I'll not have uses for them. So if you're quite sensitive when some of your favorite fragrances are not talked about in a very positive light, please, I think this video might not be for you. People just get offended by virtually everything, but yeah, I have my list here and I'll just be going through them. I think there are about 10 or 11 of them, and I'll start off with Zaafaran's Deham Wadi. I'll just put all the the pictures up here or somewhere up here. I'll just put the pictures, but Zaafaran Deham Wadi. It's very simple, and there's nothing wrong with simple fragrances. Like, it's very simple, it's quite a rose scent, very beautiful, but I just find it's very young, very generic. It's not as if there's something wrong with that fragrance, but it didn't personally cut it for me. I have my preferences when it comes to fragrances. I know people love it, but I guess it's a bit too young. It's a bit too young for me. It's not like I'm an old woman. 38 is quite old, but I guess it just didn't cut it for me. It's a lovely one, very faint, very fleeting. That is, I just didn't like it. I just didn't feel the need to add it to my collection. So that is the first one. The next one I have here is Andalib by Lattafa. Andalib, became super popular about 3 or 2 years ago. Everybody Andalib, and then I tried it a couple of times. Initially it was like, okay, it's a dupe of Scandal. I tried it and I was like, no, it's not a dupe of Scandal. To me, it's a very sweet, patchouli scent, like fruits and patchouli, which I like sometimes. It didn't wow me. I know it has a cult following, people swear by it. I understand. It's a beautiful one. Andalib is a very beautiful one, but it never called me. I tried it. Anytime I tried, there was a time my friend was like, she was going to give it to me at a very discounted price, and I guess said no. I felt even if I had it in my collection, I wasn't going to use it, so why would I even have it? And if I don't feel strongly about any fragrance, I don't think I would want to influence anyone or share it for people to also get it. So that is my personal opinion on Andalib. Then I'll add Andalib Floral to it. The very beautiful purple juice. It is so pretty, but I would even choose Andalib the OG over Andalib Floral. That one is also very generic. It didn't do it for me. It didn't cut it for me. It's a very floral, fruity floral fragrance. It just didn't. I don't think it became as popular as the OG Andalib. I hardly even hear people talking about Andalib lately, but it's one that personally, I don't have it. I don't use it, so I would not recommend it. All the fragrances I'm talking about, I don't have them, I don't use them. The ones that I decluttered them, so I would personally not recommend them. So the second one is Andalib, and then the third one is the Andalib Floral. Then I go to Lattafa's Higher. That beautiful pink, and gold is so very, very opulent, very pretty. I would get this fragrance just for the bottle, but the juice in it didn't impress me. I prefer the other sibling, SC now, that red color. Is it red or wine? I prefer that much more than Higher. But even for that, I don't think I want in my collection. Is a toffee scent. It's a good girly sweet caramel toffee scent. I prefer that much more than Higher, but I don't think I would ever have it in my collection. So that is I think the fourth or fifth one. And then I'll move on to Sandoos. I think my biggest problem with Sandoos was the bottle. When I initially, I'm a sucker for some Lattafa bottles, I enjoy all manner of bottles, but for Sandoos, there was something about it that I was immediately put off by the whole shape of the bottle. And then I got to try it a couple of times. I was like, it's okay. It is not bad, but it's nothing special. It's been compared to Miss Dior Cherie, which I do not have an idea what it is. I tried Sandoos a couple of times. It didn't impress me. It didn't wow me. I know people like it. People have raved about it. It's been on some top 10 lists, but for me personally, Sandoos is not doing it for me. I've been tempted so many times to get it for the sake of getting it, but I just thought about it. I was like, no, if I know I'm not going to wear it, I'm not going to recommend it for anybody, you know, because it is not my taste, it is not my preference. Probably, you know, I know people who have that sort of taste, you know, might go for it, but for me personally, I didn't like Sandoos. I will not get it. Even if I had it in my collection, I don't think I will reach out for it. I have so many of those sort of generic designer fragrance mass appealing one. I have so many of them that I hardly touch, I hardly speak about. They are just, you know, in my collection collecting dust, you know, so I don't see the reason why I should add another sort of, you know, to me generic it didn't do the cut. It didn't cut it for me. So Sandoos is not one that I think I will ever have in my collection. Then I want to talk about Opulence Red. Opulence Red is a fragrance at some point I had in my collection. I think about a year ago I had Opulence Red. You know, it was quite popular. Everybody was talking about Opulence Red, you know, I fell for it. I bought it, used it a couple of times, had to let it go. I couldn't stand it, you know. I thought it was supposed to be something that I was going to like per the note and what apparently was supposed to do, which is Rouge Malachite, and I didn't get any alien-esque, you know, nuance in Opulence Red. For some time, everybody was raving about it. Now I hardly hear anything about it. Like all the people who were talking about it, it's harsh now. Nobody talks about it anymore, you know. For all these fragrances I'm talking about, people used to talk about them, but now I don't even hear anything about them. Was it just the hype? Did people really like them? You know, I didn't like Opulence Red. I bought it, you know, I fell for it, I got it, used it. I think at some point I even got some compliments on it, but personally I didn't like the scent. I didn't like how it made me feel. I just didn't like it. So it's not one that I think I would ever add back to my collection. Then I want to talk about Club de Nuit Intense Man. That is a very popular fragrance, you know, marketed towards men, which is known to be in the direction of Creed Aventus. I love Creed Aventus, but for me, between Creed Aventus and Creed Aventus Cologne, I prefer Creed Aventus Cologne. I would choose Creed Aventus Cologne all day. You know, there's something about the Creed Aventus Cologne DNA that I prefer. You know, the OG Creed Aventus itself, I like. I would recommend a man. I would compliment a man who wears it, but on my nose it just a bit too much for me. There's something that heavy, smoky, woody, you know, there's something about it that really doesn't sit well for me. I am for cologne. I'm for the cologne version, and for that, when it comes to Club de Nuit Intense Man, I've never liked that fragrance. Honestly, I've never spoken about it here. I prefer Lumin. I have Lumin in my collection, which is in the direction of the Creed Aventus Cologne. That is much softer. It also has that sort of smoky, earthy, you know, tone to it, but there's something which is much more blended or much more smoother about that I prefer. So when it comes to even the OG Creed Aventus, even the men, for the men, because I have the one for the women, which is phenomenal. The one for the men, I have even like Creed Club de Nuit Intense Man. I have never spoken about it. Personally, I would not recommend it. I would recommend F.A. Paris's Lumin over that, like, anytime. So that is one that I don't think I'll ever recommend. You know, it's not like it's a bad fragrance at all. I know it also has a very huge following. Like, people might come for me for this. It has a very huge following, but it is simply not for me. I will not buy it for my man. No. I will not buy it for my partner. No. I will not buy it for my friend. I will not recommend it to my friends, but I'll recommend Creed Aventus Cologne or any dupe that is like in the direction of the cologne to my friend, my partner, whoever, you know, wants that DNA. That is the version that I will recommend. So the next one I have here is Kaid Al Fasan Unlimited, the white one. I had an unfortunate situation where I was sort of, convinced at some point, and I bought it for a friend, so the vendor was like, oh, it's so good, the men have been buying it, blah blah. I tested it a couple of times. I was like, you know what, maybe it will macerate well. I got it for my friend, and then later I regretted not, getting something else for him. I simply do not like that scent. It's okay, it's okay. It gives that sort of lotion like lactonic creamy feel, but it's not a fragrance that I don't think I want that as a fragrance. I don't like that on myself. I don't think I would ever compliment anyone wearing that fragrance. The scent profile is not one that I gravitate towards. Personally, I will not recommend that. I do not like it. So that is Qaida Fasan Unlimited. The next fragrance on this list that I even found very offensive at some point is Lattafa's Musuma. The bottle is so pretty. I love that sort of, that snake, it's pretty. The bottle is so pretty, but the juice in it, a total turn off. I thought I was supposed to like that fragrance because it's a very typical Middle Eastern, oud sort of fragrance, and I think people have compared it to Gucci Guilty Poem. I don't know how that one smells, but that fragrance, it was done right offensive to me. I sprayed like, I can't stand that fragrance. For the bottle, I would have gotten it for the bottle, itself, but I didn't find a need. I was like, the bottle is beautiful. When it first came out, it was even very difficult to find. It was very, very hard to come by. People were selling it for outrageous prices in Ghana, and I just didn't find myself buying a fragrance that I knew I wasn't going to get any use of or even like, for that price. And I decided not to, get it. Now the prices have gone down considerably. I see it and I pass. I just see it and I pass. I don't like the scent. It's too strong. It's not even about the potency. There's something about it which to me is very, very offensive. So I've never spoken about it. I tried it. It's not for me. It will never be for me. So that is Lattafa's Musama. At this point, if you have watched my fragrance for any length of time, I think you might have an idea how I feel about Lattafa's Nebras. It is a very good fragrance, a very chocolate powdery fragrance. I like it, but it didn't cut it for me. It didn't cut it for me. I don't think, I'll ever own a bottle. And it's also similar when it comes to the price. The price at a point, or when it was newly released, and the hype was like super, super, especially on TikTok. I call TikTok the headquarters for exaggeration. They exaggerate every single thing. Like every single thing is exaggerated 10 times. Everybody was like Nebras, Nebras, Nebras. And I tried it. I was like, what is really the hype about? And then the prices were like outrageous. I was like, I could have bought the original Billie Eilish's version of Nebras at that point, because the prices were basically the same, and I didn't find, I knew I wasn't going to find any use for Nebras in my collection, or much use for Nebras in my collection. So I decided not to get it. Now I've seen that the prices have dropped drastically, but it still hasn't called me till this day. It was super hyped. I know it's a very beautiful one. Don't come for me. It's a very beautiful one. The cult following is there. Everything is there. It's 10 over 10. It's 10 over 10, is everything in everybody's books, but it didn't cut it for me. It just didn't cut it for me. And it's the same thing for Yara. Yara the OG. Yara OG never made a cut for me. Now I appreciate it much better after letting it sit for almost 8 months. I like it much better than I initially than when I initially got it. It's just okay. It's just okay. I don't know, for me, Yara is just okay. I will not wear Yara outside because I don't think I'm going to get the oomph that I prefer or I want in my fragrances. I don't think so. I think I've worn it to bed a couple of times. My daughter uses it sometimes. But for me personally, it's not a scent that I'll say, go out, run, I mean, if you love it, I also, I love it for you that you love it. But personally, it didn't cut it for me. So Yara, even the Yara 2s, it's just okay. Yara 2s is just okay. It's nothing super special. The what's the name, the white one is also okay. As for the whole Yara line, the whole Yara line didn't really cut it for me, but I was just committed at one point. I got I think I got the white one, the Yara Moi, and then I got invested and I got the OG Yara. I didn't want to even get Yara at some point, but when I got the The white one, I was like, okay, you know what, let me just commit and get the OG Yara, because I prefer that one, you know, much better. And I got Yara, I was like, okay, it's just there, I'm not going to get much use out of it. And then the tools came out, I got it, it's okay. Mango, I don't get much. To me, it's not something I'll gravitate towards for the most part. My favorite is Asad. My favorite is Asad, and it's not even a Yara flanker. So, you know, that whole Yara line didn't do it for me, you know. So that the whole Yara line didn't do it for me. The Hia, Sakina, and the blue one, you know, that came with it didn't do it for me. Anna Beard line, you know, it didn't do it for me, especially the I Am White and the Poudre. I think the only one that really worked for me was the OG Anna Beard, which is in the direction of Baccarat Rouge. That's the only one. You know, there are so many lines, you know, from Middle Eastern houses that didn't do it for me. Others are super spectacular, you know, but some of them didn't do it for me. So these are some of the fragrances, you know. Let me just check if I mixed out. Yeah, I think that is all that I wrote down. Those are the fragrances that didn't do it for me. Personally, I will not recommend them. Personally, I will not buy them. Personally, if I'm even gifted these particular fragrances, I don't think I'll have much use for them, you know. So I guess for like, if I will not have much use for them, why would I recommend to my audience, you know? So I think people follow you, or people tune into you based on what they think they can resonate with you. They feel they share the same taste with you. But this one, they are not me, you know. They are simply not me. These are not my personality. These are not me at all, you know. I'm both hot and cold. I have my hot days, I have my cold days. I'm not so much of a gray person, you know. I don't really have much of a gray area. I either like you or I hate you. I don't have a gray area in between to pretend to like you, you know. That is personally me, and that is the same energy I have towards my fragrances. So yeah, that is all I have for you today. And I hope this video found you well. Please do not forget to give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And I hope if you got through to this point, you are not offended, or you were not offended. If you were, I warned you. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you in my next one. Take care. Bye-bye.